In 1911, Colorado mining heiress Evalyn Walsh McLean acquired the fabled Hope Diamond for $184,000, dismissing tales of misfortune that had allegedly followed its previous owners, including French royalty and an Ottoman sultan. With her boundless wealth and magnetic charm, McLean quickly became a glittering figure of high society, hosting extravagant gatherings from Washington to Newport and forging friendships with presidents and monarchs alike. Yet beneath the sparkle of her whirlwind lifestyle, the infamous diamond seemed to cast a long shadow, ushering in a series of deeply personal tragedies that would haunt her glamorous world. So let's explore the tragic story of Evalyn Walsh McLean. Before we start, please support my channel by clicking like and subscribe buttons. Evalyn Walsh was born in 1886 in Leadville, Colorado, a town booming with miners, gamblers, and fortune seekers. Her father, Thomas Francis Walsh, was not among the desperate masses. An Irish immigrant with little formal education but a shrewd mind, he unearthed one of Colorado's greatest treasures, the Camp Bird Mine. The mine's yield, over $3,000 a day in gold at its peak, catapulted the Walsh family into unimaginable wealth almost overnight. Unlike many nouveau riche families, the Walshes embraced sophistication. They moved to Washington, D.C., where they built an opulent mansion on Massachusetts Avenue, the heart of the city's prestigious Embassy Row. Their home, a testament to Gilded Age extravagance, boasted marble staircases, imported European art, and sprawling ballrooms. Young Evalyn grew up surrounded by privilege, but her life was not cloistered. She attended the prestigious Georgetown Visitation Convent School and was later sent to Paris and England for further education. In Paris, she became fluent in French and developed an appreciation for European culture, a polish that would set her apart among American heiresses. Socially adept and brimming with confidence, Evalyn soon became one of the most sought-after debutantes of her time. Friends included Alice Roosevelt, the irrepressible daughter of President Theodore Roosevelt, and Marguerite Cassini, daughter of the Russian ambassador. As the beloved and only daughter of a mining tycoon, Evalyn Walsh was expected to marry well, and she did. In 1908, Evalyn married Edward Ned Beale McLean, heir to the Washington Post fortune and one of the most eligible bachelors in America. The union was deemed a perfect match. Two glittering fortunes intertwined, promising a life of influence and leisure. Their wedding was a grand affair, followed by an extravagant world tour honeymoon. They traveled the globe with trunks full of finery, and according to reports, $200,000 in cash. A fortune so immense that even in distant ports, they could live like royalty. Together, they purchased Friendship, a palatial estate outside Washington, featuring over 60 rooms, horse stables, kennels, and gardens inspired by the gardens of Versailles. Inside, the couple spared no expense, commissioning French tapestries, priceless antiques, and custom architecture that reflected their soaring social ambitions. But beneath the splendor, cracks were already forming. In 1910, the McLeans were traveling in Europe when they encountered Pierre Cartier, the famed French jeweler, who presented Evalyn with a legendary offer, the Hope Diamond. This deep blue 45.52-carat diamond had an infamous reputation. Passed through royal families and merchants since the 17th century, it was said to bring tragedy and misfortune to its owners. From Louis XVI and Marie Antoinette to wealthy European collectors who died in unusual circumstances, the diamond's reputation was chilling. Evalyn, however, was captivated, not repelled. She believed firmly that bad luck objects for others are good luck for me. After some negotiation, the McLeans purchased the diamond for $180,000, a staggering sum at the time, equivalent to millions today. Pierre Cartier cleverly recast the diamond's malevolent legend as a story of intrigue and glamour. Evalyn wore it proudly, often around her neck, sometimes letting it dangle from her dog's collar at parties for dramatic effect. The stone became her talisman and signature, symbolizing both her defiance and her destiny. Life at Friendship and their Washington mansion became synonymous with decadence. Evalyn hosted grand events that rivaled European courts. Guests included senators, foreign dignitaries, ambassadors, and celebrities. Her parties were elaborate spectacles. One included a ballroom decorated entirely in roses. Another featured dining tables, set under crystal chandeliers strung between marble columns imported from Italy. In winter, she created indoor gardens to bring the outdoors inside, filling her halls with live plants and birds. Evalyn's jewelry collection was legendary beyond the Hope diamond. She owned the 94-carat Star of the East diamond, an emerald from the Mughal Empire, and a pearl necklace that once belonged to Empress Eugenie of France. But despite the glitter, tragedy continued to creep into Evalyn's life. In 1919, Evalyn's 9-year-old son, Vincent, was struck and killed by a speeding car near their estate, a devastating loss from which she never fully recovered. Friends noticed a change. The once luminous Evalyn became somber, her laughter dimmer. As central figures in Washington's elite social scene, the McLeans regularly interacted with high-ranking political figures. But their proximity to power also exposed them to controversy. During their ownership of the Hope diamond, the family found themselves drawn into one of the most notorious political scandals of the era. Edward Ned McLean maintained a close friendship with Albert B. Fall, Secretary of the Interior under President Warren G. Harding. That connection would eventually entangle Ned in the Teapot Dome scandal, a national outrage in which Fall was convicted of accepting bribes from oil executives in exchange for access to federally protected lands. Although Ned's role was more peripheral, his association with Fall tarnished his reputation. This, however, was only one part of a larger unraveling. Both Ned and Evalyn struggled privately with substance dependency. Ned's battle with alcoholism intensified during this period, and his personal life grew increasingly unstable. Reports of infidelity strained the marriage, and by 1930, Evalyn initiated divorce proceedings and sought financial support. His erratic behavior escalated, and his extravagant lifestyle led to financial disaster. The Washington Post, once in the family's control, was transferred to trustees and eventually plunged into bankruptcy. Ultimately, Ned was declared legally insane and institutionalized. He passed away in 1941 at Shepherd Pratt Psychiatric Hospital in Maryland. Tragedy continued to shadow Evalyn in the years that followed. In 1946, 5 years after Ned's death, her daughter, Evie, who had married North Carolina Senator Robert Rice Reynolds, a man significantly older than she, died suddenly at the McLean estate, Friendship, in Washington, D.C. The cause of death was ruled an accidental overdose of sleeping medication, casting a final note of sorrow over Evalyn's later life. Meanwhile, Evalyn clung to the Hope diamond and her memories, continuing to host charity events, fashion shows, and fundraising efforts during World War II. She even offered her jewelry to be displayed to raise money for war bonds. The Hope diamond, ever present, fascinated the public. Was it truly cursed, or was it simply a witness to the inevitabilities of life, tragedy striking even the most fortunate? Evalyn herself remained ambivalent. She alternately joked about its curse and treated it as a protective amulet. She once allowed a Time magazine photographer to capture her tossing the Hope diamond across the room to her dog, illustrating her irreverence towards superstition. Still, the accumulation of misfortunes in her life led many to believe that the diamond's dark legend had found its perfect host. After Ned's death, Evalyn remained active in Washington society but lived more quietly. She continued her charitable work, supporting children's hospitals and causes for the poor. When she died in 1947 from pneumonia at the age of 60, she left behind a sprawling estate and many unanswered questions about her life's paradoxes. She was buried in Rock Creek Cemetery, beneath a modest gravestone that belied her once glittering existence. In her will, she stipulated that her beloved jewelry, including the Hope diamond, be sold to pay off family debts. The trustees of her estate sold the Hope diamond to Harry Winston, the renowned New York jeweler, in 1949. Winston, recognizing its historical significance, donated the gem to the Smithsonian Institution in 1958, where it remains today, thrilling millions who visit it in the National Museum of Natural History. That's it for today. Thanks for watching. Please do not forget to support my channel by clicking like and subscribe buttons.